Possibly. What surprised me the most in this game is its many supporting characters, few of which I was expecting to encounter. Robert and Beatrice I did, of course, because they are the parents of the two young protagonists, and they are characters that I empathized with in their own respective manner. Robert is the kind parent who indulges his daughter's dreams of knighthood and speaks calmly to her, wisely and gently. Beatrice is the more overbearing parent, strict and at times cold with her daughter, but doing things to bring out the strength in Amicia. She knows how strong her daughter is and trusts her deeply. It is a nice, fitting touch that the two parents deliver the first tutorials of the game, Robert teaching Amicia and the player how to use the sling and the first steps into stealth, and Beatrice a few moments later showing us further details revolving stealth and introducing us to the intricacies of the companion system. These two characters I expected and liked. However, the group of companions that you gather later on, I did not. Usually, in games like this, which is one of the many Sons of Ico, that PS2 program that fully introduced us to the gameplay mechanic of protecting an AI-controlled companion, we are expecting the two leads to be alone the entire game, or at least most of the time. These types of games usually are two people, most of the time a young boy and a young girl, lost in a weird foreign land or trapped inside a deadly castle, trying to survive and building a relationship all the while. However, in A Plague Tale, the formula is changed considerably. Although the first part of the game you are alone with Hugo running from inquisitors and fighting plague-spreading rats, you will later on meet with Laurentius, who tasks his disciple Lucas on helping you gather a cure for Hugo. Lucas is the first companion that you meet in this game, and I immediately noticed that he was going to be an important character due to the way he is introduced, that chapter being called The Apprentice, when we've been looking all that time for the Doctor, and because the character is tasked by his mentor with a quest he vows not to fail, and because the chapter closes by focusing on him in place of Amicia or Hugo, the two we've been following so far in the game. Immediately after, Lucas gives needed explanations regarding Hugo's condition and proves to be a valuable companion the whole journey. By the ending of the next chapter I was glad the character existed, and even feared he would suffer a Game of Thrones-esque shocking death, and was relieved when he didn't. So, okay, it's going to be Amicia, Hugo, and Lucas, who serves as a midpoint between the other two, older than Hugo, younger than Amicia, brother-like but not an actual blood relative, and with as much purpose in this story as the orphans. Lucas, in many ways, becomes Hugo's doctor, Amicia's alchemical teacher, and closest friend to both. Then came Melie and Arthur, the thief twins. Now, who are these? I asked myself when I first saw them, and the truth is, both are very important characters as well. Not only is Arthur the one who breaks Amicia out of prison, but it is he who later on gives a very important revelation that opens up the third and final act of the tale. Melie, who is the one we interact the most of the two scoundrels, also plays an important role, particularly in Amicia's personal story. She serves as a contrast to Amicia, who are two different women, one from nobility, the other from the streets. Though both of them are young, Amicia demonstrates an innocent and friendly attitude while Melie behaves more in a cynical, streetwise fashion, often flustering Amicia's pathetic attempts at making friends with sarcastic quips.
And so, Amicia the Amazon, Melie the Stealthy, conquered the Chateau d'Ombrage.
You've read too many books.
Imagine, we could all live here together.
I'm more of a Stella girl, you know.
How am I going to get up there?
You'll need a ladder.
But the damn rats are everywhere.
To the Amazon, tell them a story.
Very funny.
Their interaction can be funny and, truth be told, more annoying than Hugo ever was to me, and they succeed in demonstrating another side of Amicia as a character. That of her handling herself among peers. By now, We've seen her with elders, her father, her mother, Clervie, Father Thomas, and Dr. Laurentius, all of whom look down on her as an infant in need of help and offer guidance and support in different ways. The other characters she's been dealing with are younger characters, like her kid brother Hugo and Lucas, both of which look up to her as the adult of the group. But Melie is Amicia's same age. She's not going to automatically look up to her with admiration, and will not look down on her kindly either. She makes Amicia run for her money, and her growing respect for Amicia throughout the game comes mainly for her strength and leadership, but most importantly because of the one thing they share, which is the fact that they are both sisters. When Hugo is sick and Arthur is captured, both sisters go out into danger to rescue their respective brothers, Melie even slowing herself down to help Amicia enter the university in which the Sanguinis Itinera, the book Lucas needs to heal Hugo's disease, is hidden, because she empathizes with Amicia's quest to save her brother.
There. I've been wanting to do this for 2 days!
Now, when Rodric came out, I thought to myself, another guy. But then again, the character is well introduced. You empathize with him immediately and are glad he survives his introductory sequence. I also liked that he quickly makes friends with Hugo, and that his sort of rivalry with Arthur over who's the toughest in the house was kept in control and in good taste. At first, all of these characters might seem as stereotypical. The bookish boy, the dashing rogue who breaks women's hearts, the cynical down-to-earth foul-talking scoundrel, the gruff blacksmith with a thing for violence, but all of these characters, at least to me, stood out as their own thing. When put in contrast to the intense story the game is telling, these characters seem more original, sort of, and more importantly, necessary. The fact that each one of them, in their own way, are orphans themselves, or people that have no home of their own, also helps in making them fit alongside Amicia and Hugo. This group of outcasts, at times, reminded me of Stephen King's Losers Club. Truth be told, I wasn't expecting any of them to appear in this story, and much less to like them, but I did, and I was surprised on how durable and necessary they are in the story. Whether it is Rodric's laughable brutalities or Melie's shit talk, the characters offer a lot of story progression, levity, and contrast between the two leads. They all play an important part in making this game hang together, and they even offer some of the most emotional sequences in the entire game. Aside of the companions, the other supporting characters are interesting and stand out individually. Clervie in Chapter 2 is a kind, gentle crone that saves the orphans from the lynching mob, treating them almost as if they are her own grandchildren, offering shelter, dry clothes, and advice. She is also one of the characters that Amicia sees during her dream sequence, reminding her that children never leave home without a reason. The character has a brief appearance and her fate is left uncertain, but I always remember the character and recognized her immediately when she reappears in the dream. Father Thomas from Chapter 3 is also an interesting character, who at first is hesitant in helping the orphans but somewhat yields to Hugo's pleading gaze. He is also the character that introduces us to the swarm of rats. Dr. Laurentius from Chapter 4 is an important character because he is the one Beatrice tells Amicia to meet with Hugo, and as such, finding him is the first main objective of the game. Once they meet, he is who introduces us to Lucas, and tasks his disciple, Amicia, with continuing his and Beatrice's work. The villains, as always, tend to be the weakest characters in any story, and this isn't the exception. That's not to say that they are bad by any means. There's Conrad, who plays a significant role in the story because he is the leader of the lynching mob that is hunting down the orphans. He is not the first person that Amicia kills, but the most impactful early on. There's Vitalis, the Grand Inquisitor and main antagonist of the story. He is a jerk most of the time, but serves his purpose well. He is mean, ugly, disgusting, and a villain that you absolutely enjoy murdering. His boss fight is also the most elaborate and impressive in the game. My personal favorite is Lord Nicholas. He is the perfect antagonist in a story led by children. Big, monstrous, menacing, powerful, and brutal. Even if Vitalis is the main villain of the story, I always feel Nicholas the most personal for Amicia and Hugo's journey. First and foremost, he is the one that kills their father and captures Beatrice. He is the looming presence that hounds and intimidates both orphans, together and separately, through many sequences of the game. He is the one that brutally kills Arthur and pits Hugo against his sister in a climactic moment of the story, requiring the strength of not just one orphan but both to destroy at the ending. Defeating Nicholas is the moment that puts Amicia and Hugo together again, consolidating them as a single powerful weapon, symbolizing how far their fraternal love has taken them and how far they can go henceforth. This is a turning point in A Plague Tale: Innocence. After surviving the first threshold safely and beating the man that had directly wronged their family, fighting Vitalis and saving their mother seems plausible. Also, my sister and I had a great laugh when he said this.
They move fast, like roaches.
Another thing that I like in this game is how the writers handled death. A Plague Tale: Innocence is a game filled with a lot of violence and gruesome images. Rats eating people, dead and alive, and fields strewn with bodies of dead animals and soldiers. You meet many characters in this game, and many of them actually die, either by your hand or by the hand of the enemies. In any case, I felt that death was handled with care and respect in this game, which is good since death is a powerful tool in any story that is often used offhandedly, and thus loses much of its impact. In this game, all of the characters that die serve a purpose. Leon and Robert's death are very significant to the character of Amicia, since she witnesses their demise in scenes that forever mark and changes her. Conrad's death also marks Amicia, but in a very different way, since she doesn't witness his death, but kills him herself. The same goes with Vitalis, whose killing develops Hugo the same way Conrad's killing develops Amicia. Not the first kill, but the most impactful, and the one that forever changes the person. Vitalis imprisoned and tortured both Hugo and Beatrice. Killing him inevitably brings a sense of cold satisfaction to the boy. Lord Nicholas, as I explained before, is both Amicia and Hugo's enemy. Fighting him is necessary for their survival, as well as the survival of the rest of the companions. His death avenges Lord Robert and the rest of the Darun estate, and of course, Arthur. It also demonstrates how far Amicia and Hugo have come individually and together. Father Thomas dies in a very horrible manner, and one that quickly presents the rats as the truest and deadliest enemy in the game. Laurentius dies in similar fashion. However, we do not witness that moment. His death serves to build the character of Lucas, severing ties to his original life in similar fashion to how the Inquisitors severed Amicia and Hugo from their original life. This similitude automatically bonds Lucas to the Darun siblings. Arthur's death is one of the most significant in the story, not because we get to know him deeply, and neither did Amicia nor Hugo, but because of what it means and does to the character of Melie. As I said before, Melie is one of the few characters that challenges Amicia in the game. They are two very dissimilar women, but the one thing they have in common is that they are both sisters. Much of the reason to why Melie aids Amicia in her quest is because she understands what it's like to have a brother, and Arthur's death serves as the ultimate irony between the two women, since it was because Melie helped Amicia with Hugo that she ended up losing her own brother. My big sister, when she played the game, pointed out that the thief twins also serve as an interesting example to how there is always another person who is in a worse position to yours. If Amicia thought she had a terrible predicament treating Hugo's illness, imagine Melie, who had to bury her brother during the same time. A sick but alive brother is sad and stressful, but less painful and solitary than a dead one. Perhaps the most dramatic death in the game is actually one of the last ones, and that is Rodric's. Rodric is a very likable character, and one of my favorites in the game. His demise is very emotional, particularly if you find his father's forge before. He dies moving a cart, all by himself with his Herculean strength to cover Amicia and Hugo from enemy archers, leading them to safety and even using his last strength to raise the portcullis so the others can escape. What is important in this sequence is how his death truly impacts Hugo. Rodric's death is to Hugo what Robert's was to Amicia, the first big blow to one's innocence. Leon's death impacted Amicia as a child, but her father's death is what forever killed the child within her. The same goes with Rodric and Hugo. Rodric is the first death that truly impacts Hugo, the first death that he understands deeply as a growing person, not as a child with a vague understanding of things. Hugo is the one that holds Rodric's face and dying gaze as he passes from this world, also demonstrating his internal strength and compassion. Barely 5, and already carrying the burden of comforting a man in his final moments. Rodric's sacrifice, and his brief but significant moment with Hugo, was one of the very few sequences in this game that actually made me cry. A Plague Tale Innocence was one of the greatest surprises I had last year. I'm really looking forward to playing the sequel and continuing the story of the Darun family and their friend Lucas. As always, if you enjoyed this video, press the like button, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe and talk to me on the comments section. I'm really interested on what you have to say regarding these characters. Who's your favorite supporting character in A Plague Tale Innocence, for example? Have you played this game or not? Have you played the sequel already? Stuff like that. Talk to me. I want to hear you. Now, if you've come this far, thank you for sharing your time with me. As always, stay safe.